Aloha all, and welcome back to Let's Play this Q&A of N+. And the last episode, we left off answering some questions from Gel Studios, and there was only one more, so we're going to pick right back up with him as we continue playing the episode, or I don't know, I think this is episode 20? Not quite sure. But anyway, Gel Studios' last question was, will you ever shave? Obviously, the answer is yes, because I already have. But, so now on to the first, real question. This is actually a pretty long question, and actually a pretty serious one. It's from Q9R42, and it says, what are your thoughts on some issues that plague America, like abortion, gay marriage, the Patriot Act, cell stem research, people taking offense for exactly everything, and so on. And that's pretty interesting. I'm not going to delve into because, that's one of those things where I could just go on and, do multiple episodes about, my opinions on certain things. But just to kind of go and answer some of them, as far as gay marriage and stuff like that is concerned, and abortion, that's all a personal choice, and I feel people should have that choice, and I don't think it's right that anybody tries to take that choice away from them. So as far as those are concerned, I think that, it's all up to you and what you want to do. And the thing with stem cell research is, some people say it's like killing babies, but, the thing is, if people really want to, donate, then again, it's up to, it's their choice. As long as they're not being, pressured into it, then it's fine. And for people taking offense for everything, that's ridiculous. I don't, they're just words at the end of the day. So I'm sorry. I know you probably wanted more concise or more elaborated answers, and I gave really concise ones. But I didn't want to spend too much time. But really, majority of those, a lot of the reasons that they're problems is because it's people trying to control other people. And for me, it's kind of my whole opinion on that is don't try to control people. It's not right, and people should be able to do what they want. And yeah, so that's that. The next two questions come from Anime Man 10118. And question one is, what kind of music are you and Caboose into? Well, me and Caboose has some similarities in our music, but I'm definitely into some more heavier music than Caboose is, and Caboose is into some more lighthearted things. I know Caboose is he's a fan of rock, and he's a fan of indie music and that type of thing, and he's also a huge fan of jazz and 19s, 20s, big band swing music and stuff like that, which I'm also a fan of, jazz and that. But I can't really say, what he isn't into, because I don't know for sure. For me, I'm a big fan of, classic rock. I'm really into progressive music, whether it be progressive rock or progressive metal. I do I like some rap. I like early 90s and late 80s rap music, like Tupac and Biggie Smalls and those big names and shit from there, and Busta Rhymes, that kind of stuff. I'm not a big fan of Lil Wayne or any of the newer people, so I don't really like rap music from the 2000s, really, 2000 to 2010. But hey, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna do about it? But I like a pretty big, diversity, but progressive, rock slash metal and classic rock are probably two of my favorites. I'm also a really big fan of classically arranged music too. I always have been, and I think it's really underrated. But and two is, why does Caboose hate Hollywood Undead? And I didn't know that he hated it. I guess you've asked them questions, or you bothered them about it before, because you said, hope this pisses him off. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you. The next set of questions comes from the Creeper Hunters 1. And he goes, question 1 is, what's your top 10 favorite video games? I don't know if I'm going to be able to, say it for sure if any of these are, but off the top of my head, it would go, and this is in order from 1st to 10th, it would go Paper Mario, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Mega Man X, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, Sly 2 Band of Thieves, and then probably, let me think. I always have trouble with the last two. Where are my last two? Those are definitely probably some of my top 8. And let me think. What are some last twos? I'm just gonna give you those 8 for now. I mean, I know a bunch of games that I really like, but I don't know if I would necessarily put, my top 10. I mean, Budokai 3, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 is actually probably in there, so I'll put that as number 9 because that I can play that game endlessly, because it's so fun. And I don't know what my 10th favorite game would be. Right now I'm drawing a blank, so I'd have to get back to you. But those are some of my favorite games. Question number 2 is, do you have a girlfriend right now? And as of right now, I don't have one, but I'm working on it. So I guess, points for that. 3, what's your most nostalgic video game? My most nostalgic video game is probably Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time, nostalgia is a big part of the reason why it's my favorite Zelda, because I've stated recently, for the last year or so, that I think Majora's Mask is the best Zelda game, but Ocarina of Time is still my favorite, and it's just because I have so many memories with them, and I remember playing it, and I don't know, it just brings a rush of stuff back to me. I also have a lot of nostalgia with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, specifically in the Death Egg Zone. I have a lot of nostalgia with that, and I also have a shit ton of nostalgia with Grand Theft Auto Vice City and San Andreas. So those games probably are among the top, but I think Ocarina of Time takes the cake, with San Andreas probably being a close second. Number 4 is, what's your favorite food? And hot wings, definitely. Hot wings are amazing. Next set of questions comes from I'm So Bored. And he asks, questioning the beer, what descent are you of? I am 50% Irish and 50% German. I don't think I really have anything else contributing to my blood but that. It's just straight up Irish and German, so yeah. I'm So Bored also asks, will you ever do a Pokemon game? And it's funny that you should ask that, because I was recently discussing that with Caboose and Shadowy Productions not too long ago. And probably what I'll do is I never plan on doing a main series Pokemon game as a Let's Play. Mainly because I don't want to deal with some of the commenters I know I'll get. Plus, I'm not really knowledgeable on that series as much as a lot of people are, and they've been done to death. What I'll probably wind up doing, though, and I actually think this is a pretty good idea, is I will probably do a all-day stream of either Pokemon Blue, Red, or Yellow, and, start and then just play through the entire game on a live stream, one day I have to kill. And I could make it interactive, and when I catch Pokemon, people could name them, and, I could just do a really leisurely playthrough, which is what I normally do. Pokemon games are not, Pokemon Stadium worked because it's just straight up battling, and I could pick, whoever I wanted, and it wasn't, a big deal. But with Pokemon, I'm such a casual player of Pokemon, and when I do my Let's Plays, I like to not be informative, but I at least want to know, what I'm doing and be able to talk about it, and I don't feel like I could do that in Pokemon, so I'll never do a Pokemon game, a main series Pokemon game, as a Let's Play. Question number 3 is, are you open to gatherings in the future? Yeah, definitely. I definitely am. Question number 4 is, what non-LPers do you watch? And that's actually pretty interesting. I watch a handful of them. Some to name off the top of my head: Julian Smith TV 80, or Julian Smith 87, or Julian Smith, whatever. Epic Mealtime, Epic Rap Battles of History. So I kind of Nice Peter, but not really Nice Peter, just his Epic Rap Battles. But I also am subscribed to animators Harry Partridge and Oney NG, if you know them. I also like watching Tobuscus. He's pretty good. And Brentalfloss, of course. And Brentalfloss is pretty awesome. And John LaJoey also makes pretty fun videos, as well as Guitar Master X7. So those would probably be the non-L peers I watch. As far as like who I'm technically subscribed to, I'm subscribed to all those people. I'm also subscribed to Scottish DuckTales, but not Scottish Duck 17. I just can't keep up with his YouTube videos, like his Let's Plays, but I like watching his like vlogs and his little collection updates. I'm also subscribed to It's the Program, which is Griffin Lobster's little side project. And I also am subscribed to Improv Everywhere, which is pretty funny. So those are probably all of the non-L peers that I watch. Or yeah, that's it. That's it. The next question from I'm So Bored is, what do you think is going to happen in 2012? There's going to be a lot to happen in 2012. We're probably going to hit 10,000 subscribers. I'm probably, well, you know, there's PAX East and all that, and yeah, I don't know, a lot of stuff is going to happen in 2012. As far as probably what I'm thinking you're asking as far as the whole world ending, no, that's not, no. Not at all. But anyway, that does it for I'm So Bored's questions. Now we're on to Neverhoodfan 9000, and he asks, what is your least favorite game series? And I am, I don't know off the top of my head. I can't really say a series that I truly hate, like, more than I like. I have to say that I'm not a fan of the Battlefield series. And I don't know if I would say that's my least favorite, but I'm just not a fan, you know, at all. I don't think that they're as good as people say they are, and, you know, I'm not trying to say Call of Duty's better, because Call of Duty isn't that great in of itself, but I feel like a large majority of Battlefield fans don't actually like Battlefield because of Battlefield itself, but mainly because it's the alternative to COD, because they got angry when they realized that COD is just the same thing over and over again. Which I've known since I started playing COD, and I accept that and I like it, but some people just, you know, couldn't deal with the fact after, you know, they got the second game and Black Ops and they realized that nothing was changing. So Battlefield is, you know, a top contender. But I also just don't really like a lot of the racing games that are out there. You know, I'm not a terribly large fan of realistic racers, so really, like, Forza, you know, would definitely not be anywhere close to being my top, or like a NASCAR game. But I don't really have a true series that's like you know, trying to be its own independent thing, except for Battlefield, that I really just am not a big fan of. So hopefully that answered your question. Neverhood Fan 9000 says, "What bands do you listen to?" I'll just name three. Probably my three favorite: Dream Theater, The Smashing Pumpkins, and The Strokes. I like all those three, and then, you know, I have others: Megadeth and Ninja Sex Party, and, you know, Tenacious D and Electric Six. You know, those kind of joke bands too. So those are some of them. But that just about does it for this episode. So I will see you guys in the next episode, where we're going to answer more questions. So see you guys then.